Hello. This is a bit of a different video than what I typically do. I'm just going to talk over a gameplay, and I'm going to be talking basically about Black Ops 7 and its release on the 14th of November, and what I think it's going to do for the franchise going forward. I'm going to talk about a few key points that I've noticed on the lead up to the release of the game, and the positive impact that I think it's going to have on the franchise as a whole. The first area that I'm going to talk about is the maps. Now, we only played a limited selection of the maps in the beta. I enjoyed them. They were visually beautiful, completely different colour palettes, but they were fun. They were typical like a 3-lane type map, which is more traditional for Call of Duty. And they were fast and engaging, you were getting into a load of gunfights. And there wasn't a load of visual clutter obscuring your view. They were clean, but they were also beautiful at the same time. With the changes to the maps, after the beta had finished, the developers actually listened to some feedback from the community about one of the maps called Toshi. Now, on this map, there was like a subway area, and people couldn't access it from the middle of the map. You could only go from one end to the other, and it was like a long tunnel area, like a train station. And the community said that we didn't like the fact that on certain game modes, that part of the map wasn't accessible. They have now changed that and opened that part of the map up due to community backlash. That just shows right there that the developers are listening to the community. Speaking about changes to the community, they also changed something during the beta, the perk system. Now, they implemented a thing in this beta, or in this variation of Black Ops 7, where if you was to do a slide cancel or slide across the floor, your character would go into an automatic tack stance where the gun basically goes sideways. You can't aim in properly. You can't do a traditional slide cancel. And people didn't like it. And it made it so the dexterity perk was picked automatically. You had to run that perk on your class. Otherwise you were hindered. And you couldn't play a bit more of an aggressive play style. The developers listened to that and they changed it. And they made it so that you could slide and aim in without using the dexterity perk. That is just something that the community has been dying for a long time. Been listened to as a whole. They also implemented in the beta an open mosh pit playlist where skill-based matchmaking was limited. Now, a lot of people are split on skill-based matchmaking. Some people believe that it needs to be there because there's a lot of casual players, people who have kids and full-time jobs and look home from work, spend time with their families, and they want to play a couple of games of Call of Duty. Now, if they're thrown in a lobby with some of the best players in the world, they're not going to have fun. They're not going to enjoy the experience. And they're going to put the game down faster than you can imagine and not want to play it. But at the same time, the players who have put hours and hours and hours of countless grinding in, memorised the maps, unlocked all the attachments on the weapons, learned what the meta weapons are and what to use, and learned how to play the game and master its mechanics, also at the same time shouldn't be punished for being good at the game and feel like they're in a ranked play match when they're playing a casual playlist. There's ranked play for that. If you're playing a casual game mode, you should be able to play the worst of the worst, the best of the best, and never know what type of experience you're going to get until you play the map or the game mode. And that is how a traditional online arcade shooter should be. You don't know what experience you're going to have, and you should want to challenge yourself sometimes. But then sometimes you might get a lobby where you're the best player in the lobby, and you just run through it. And that's more of an engaging experience. And the expanding of lobbies has now gone away, so that means that if you're in a lobby, and let's say there's a player in that lobby who's better than you, if you choose to stay in that lobby, and that player stays in the lobby, you get to play him again. And if you want to better yourself and think, this time I'm going to beat them, or I'm going to outperform them, that is something that you can choose to do. So it's bringing back that old school competitiveness back, where, they might have won one game, you think, I'm going to get my own back, and you then beat them. And then there's this little backwards and forwards rivalry within the game, where you're both trying to outdo each other. And that's just old school Call of Duty. They're doing multiple camo challenges. They're doing a campaign camo grind, a rank play camo grind, not rank play, sorry, a multiplayer camo grind, and a zombies camo grind. I'm going to be doing all three. I traditionally play the campaigns anyway, so if I get to play the campaign and unlock skins for that, for my weapons, cool looking camos, that's an absolute bonus for me. I always grind for the zombies Easter egg and the zombies camos anyway, and the multiplayer camos just come naturally from playing multiplayer. They're just putting so much effort, what I believe is so much effort into this new title, that I feel like they possibly can't get it wrong. Now, people are saying that there's competition within the community, like, for instance, Battlefield 6 releasing. People are saying, oh, well, Steam has got far more players playing Battlefield than the Call of Duty beta did. But I see that as another positive, because it's competition and it's going to make the developers want to create a better game for the community and bring in potential new players. Now, I have played Battlefield 6 and it is a fun game and I do enjoy it, but it is a different type of game to Call of Duty. In my opinion, the only comparison is that they're both FPS's, first-person shooters, but Battlefield is more of an immersive tactical shooter, where Call of Duty is a fast-paced arcade shooter, and they both give you completely different experiences. They're both beautiful and stunning in their own way, and they both have different types of playstyles and completely different communities, but you can enjoy both. But I think with Battlefield off to such a hot start, it's only going to push the developers of Call of Duty to want to release a better product. Where can that go wrong? Another positive thing I saw about the Black Ops 7 beta was the cheating. Now, over the last few years, specifically rank play has been riddled with cheaters. I have seen cheaters as low down as Platinum Division. When you start to get into levels such as Crimson and Iridescent, it gets out of control. It gets to the point where every other game you can potentially play in a cheater. And some of these cheaters aren't even hiding it. They're just stood on the middle of the map, just spin botting, aim botting. They're not even trying to hide it. They're just doing it blatant as ever. The top 250 leaderboard in the Call of Duty for ranked play for the last few years has just been riddled with cheaters, to the point where the community were crying about turning crossplay off on consoles to try limit the cheating that was going on. The beta stated that 98% of the lobbies were cheater free, and I think by the second day, the third day, there was nearly 99% cheater free lobbies, and they were banning accounts. That is an amazing thing, because it shows that they actually care about competitive integrity. Now, even if you're playing a casual game mode, you should still have competitive integrity. And they're not letting them get away with it anymore. So, all in all, I think the overall aspect and the outlook of the Black Ops 7 release is that the maps are looking like they're in a good position and good place. They're beautiful, stunning, not full of clutter. The skill-based matchmaking is going to vary based on potential game modes that you play. So if you play a ranked play, you're going to get more of a harder, sweaty game than a casual playlist where you could potentially play the worst or the best, and that's how it should be. Something like cosmetics to grind for all the camo challenges across all the game modes, the campaign, multiplayer and zombies. There's competition now within the franchise, other FPSs that are doing well, that is going to push the developers to release a better game. The developers are actively listening to their own community, making changes on the fly to things that the community are backfiring on, saying that we don't like this, we don't want that, we like this change. And it's also given like a trial period. The developers implement something new and they put a change in it. The community don't like it, they can revert it back. They're not going to say, oh, tough, we've made the change, that's it, now you've got to play it. They say, no, we're actively listening to you, and your feedback actually means a lot to us. I'm excited about the release of this new Call of Duty, and I am not being paid or sponsored to say that. This is my honest opinion of the release of this game. I believe that this is going to be one of the better years of Call of Duty that we've had for the last few years. I have played and bought every Call of Duty since I can remember, and I love playing them. And I can see that this year is potentially going to be one of the best. I could be wrong, and I might eat my words, but only time will tell. What are your thoughts on this, guys? Do you think that the Call of Duty is in a good place going forward, or do you think that the downfall is inevitable? Let me know what you think. I know that this type of commentary is very raw and unfiltered and unedited, but that's how I like to roll. I just like to give you my honest, raw experience, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys, and all the best.